All right, so I'm going to talk about one of the most important things concerning the marshes and the beaches on Hilton Head, the tides. And if you've ever come to Hilton Head and spent more than an hour at the beach, you can definitely notice the tidal cycle. However, at the beach, you put your beach chairs up by the water, you're there for more than an hour, the tide's dropping out, you get all this beachfront that spreads out between you and the shoreline, or if the water's coming up and you don't move, you'll be underwater. But once you come back here into the salt marshes, these waterways are a little more constricted, so that tidal range is coming up and down a lot more vertically back here. So on average, we have a tidal range between 7 and 9 feet, and that's all dependent on the direction of the wind and the moon cycles. Different times of the month, when the moon's moving around the planet, it's pulling all that salt water around with it. So twice a month, we have what are called spring tides. During full moons and new moons, it gives us a lot higher high tides and a lot lower low tides. So there's just a lot more of a dramatic range in between. Whereas twice a month we have neap tides during first quarter moons and last quarter moons. And if you were to look up at the sky, you only see about half of that moon there. And that gives us really insignificant tidal ranges because the sun, moon, and earth are kind of making a right angle. So the gravity's kind of fighting. So the wildlife reacts to the tides at different times of the day. So whenever we have these higher tides, right now we're kind of right in the middle, the tide's still coming up. As the water's coming in, it's covering up all this terrain out here. So most of the wildlife, all the activity's happening underneath the water. We can't see a lot of it, but it's flooding and inundating all this grass with nutrients and a lot of plankton. Whereas low tides, that's probably the best time to come out and find wildlife because that tide drops way down and it exposes all of the terrain out here that we can't see right now. So these lower tides essentially create these big fish farms, these great big puddles where all these fish are kind of trapped in the middle. So it makes the foraging and hunting for all these marine predators so much easier for the birds, the dolphins, because all their prey is kind of trapped within one smaller spot. So here in the low country, the tides are probably the most important factor on the wildlife and the ecology.